Welcome, everyone, to another episode of The Shadows Podcast. I'm your host, Trip Odenheimer, and before we get started with this episode, I'd like to make a special announcement. The American Gladiators was a popular American television competition series that originally aired from 1989 to 1996. It was later revived for a short time in 2008. The show was a sports competition with a unique twist incorporating elements of athleticism, physical challenges, and entertainment. The American Gladiators became a cultural phenomenon during its original run, drawing large fan bases and becoming a significant part of 1990s pop culture. The show's success led to an international version and adaptations in several other countries. The Gladiators were a group of professional athletes, bodybuilders, and stunt performers who were given larger-than-life personas and nicknames. Now, Shadows Podcast digs deep into the souls of the people behind those television characters with a special series, The Gladiator Gauntlet Shadow Showdown. Join us starting Monday, August 21st, as Jim Starr, also known as Laser, shares his story. We will also feature Elektra, Malibu, Ice, and the American Gladiators Grand Champion Wesley Two Scoopsberry. In the meantime, be sure to check out the latest documentary on Netflix, Muscle Mayhem, and on ESPN, their 30 for 30. Now, get ready for another episode of The Shadows Podcast.
Hi, I'm Mindy Trimble, the bubble wrap of college prep coaching, where I help you pop with possibilities for your future while also making sure you don't pop under college and application pressure. And you're listening to the Shadows Podcast.
So you're in Ramstein, right?
Yes, sir.
How long you been in Germany? You've been there a while, hadn't you?
Yeah, so I served. My first tour in Germany was 2015 to 2018 in Spangdahlem. And now at Ramstein. I've been here for about 9 months.
Oh, wow. So where'd you
Yeah.
go between Spangdahlem and Ramstein?
Ooh, I've been a busy man. So 10 assignments, 8 overseas, 4 short tours. So been to Aviano, Italy.
Mm-hmm.
My first tour in Korea, then Germany, tour 1. Then thereafter, went to Lodges, the Azores, and then on to Japan, Yokota.
Yep.
Also on tour number 2. And then I landed back here at Ramstein,
So
back in Germany.
You know nothing about the States anymore.
Not really.
So
Not really.
This will be good for when we start to unpack your story. First, I want to put you through 5 quick rapid fire questions. First one, book recommendation.
Book recommendation. That's a good one. Simon Sinek, Leaders Eat Last.
Yep, Leaders Eat Last.
Yeah, that's one of them. And then David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me.
Oh yeah, that's a real good one.
Yeah. So I was really, really attached to that because of his story and what he's gone through, overcome, right?
Yeah.
It resonates with me because he came from the bottom, so to speak, and really struggled with his self-worth, identity, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And the way that he got after it that was so enticing to me in the beginning of the story. But furthermore, it was me pretty much, like trying to strive for that excellence, and you know that your self-worth is more than what you have sitting there currently. And that was what he did. Like, he knew that he had something deep inside him. There was a bigger calling, and he got after it. Right.
Yep.
That's essentially my story, is that throughout all of these trials and tribulations,
Can't.
I knew.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. I knew that I had more to give, more to do, and it just kept going in very odd ways, right? But I knew that there was something more, and I kept getting after it, and it's tried and true. I mean, been able to accomplish a lot throughout my career. But it's incredible to see when you step up to those daunting challenges, what's on the other side.
That's true.
Especially for your people. That's what drives me.
Yeah, and I like the balance you got there with the can't hurt me, which speaks more to you, and then you got leaders eat last, which, like you said, speaks about leading those people. And this next question will be kind of curious because you've traveled a lot. That one bucket list place that you've not been to yet.
Bali, hands down.
Okay.
Bali.
Is that gonna be like a retirement thing for you?
Maybe.
Yeah. You deserve it. Treat yourself to Bali when you retire.
Yeah, yes, sir. I mean, I've been wanting to go there for probably the past decade at least.
Yeah.
But just haven't got there yet. But I'm definitely gonna get there one day.
What is it about Bali that makes that your go-to?
I mean, I guess just the scenery, like looking at all of the documentaries and what have you. It looks surreal. It's almost like Santorini, and there's another place that I need to go back. That place,
oh, beautiful.
Doesn't look real online, but then when you go there and you're actually physically there, it still doesn't look real.
No, it doesn't. I got to ask you, when you went to Santorini, did you go on like a cruise or did you do like a Ryanair?
Yeah, I was on the cruise.
So did y'all have to like take the little? Yeah, I had to take like the little boat over to.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ride the donkeys?
I did.
So I tell the story about how, like, so for those of you who haven't been there, you either take, I think it's like a cable lift, or you take donkeys to get up to Santorini.
It's a cable lift.
Yep. And we had zero service on this cruise, and tech sergeant results were coming out. And you remember Sergeant Otto from Spangdahlem?
Mm-hmm.
So she was like, "Hey, I'm gonna text you. I'm gonna let you know something about tech results." So we get there and we're getting really close. We're about to get on the little boat to take us over. All of a sudden I got cell service, and she left me a voicemail basically telling me, like, "I'm so sorry you did not make tech. You missed it." And I'm so bummed. And now I got to go with my family to Santorini. And I go to get on, we decided to do the donkey thing. And they bring this thing wasn't even, this was like a little pony. This was like a little infant. And I went to go pick my daughter up, and I'm so miserable at this point. And they were like, no, you get on this. So they put me on this little ass horse, and neither one of us wanted to be there, me nor him. And everybody was just going by us. He kept bumping me into the wall, like on the way up. And Yeah, by the time I got to the top, I was almost laughing about it to where we enjoyed our vacation. But that poor little horse, he needed to be taken out to the pasture at that point. It had me getting thrown on top of him. But yeah, Santorini's a good spot. It's a really good
Yeah,
spot. All right,
yeah, I definitely want to go back.
next one for you. What is a song on your workout playlist or that you're riding down the road that you don't want nobody to know you listen to?
Woo. uh, you just jam me up just now. I'll say my own. Um, I've done music for a very, very long time. That's uh one of my, I guess, best kept secrets.
Okay.
But I listen to uh one of my songs called Go Hard. And then there's another one. Um it was unreleased, but that I did with T-Pain
Oh, really?
back in the day. Yeah. Um and so I listen to those kind of, it's like a motivational thing in the morning sometimes. But yeah, I guess those would be the ones.
Okay. Uh, next question. Something you do to decompress.
Ooh, lift weights
Lift weights. Okay.
all day.
All right. How'd you like that Spangdahlem weight room?
I didn't.
Yeah. I was gonna say, it was too small.
And it's the same here. It's the same here, sadly. Like this is USAP headquarters, right? You would think with all of the population that works here and then
Yeah.
all the transient people, you would think that you would accommodate for that. But these gyms, there's two of them here, and garbage. It's so small. There's not enough space, and it's absolutely ridiculous that we have to deal with this.
Get back to the States, get you a garage gym. It's the best thing.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love that.
Yep. I went and checked out. We found out we're going to Edwards. Probably by the time this episode drops, we'll be in Edwards. And I went down there and I checked out their gym and I was not in love with it. I mean, it's not bad, but I was not in love with it at all. And so I'm like, thank goodness I got my garage gym stuff to bring with me. It'll be nice weather there too. All right, final question, and we'll get into your story. Dinner for three.
Mm.
Three historical figures who are no longer with us. Who would you dine with?
Say again.
You have dinner for three with three
Mhm.
historical figures that are no longer with us.
Hands down, one of them would be Martin Luther King.
Okay.
Hands down. Hmm. That is an excellent question.
Well,
Man.
we'll go with Martin Luther King, but let me ask you this: Why?
Mhm.
We'll say y'all having a coffee somewhere. What is it about Martin Luther King makes him be like automatically like the one you go to?
Automatic because of the constant struggles of um both personal and professional life. Like he was paving the way for to break all these barriers when it comes to color and what have you, right? So that's why I immediately went there because still to this day, it's about to be 2024 soon, and we're still treating people badly because of the color of the skin. So I say that to say this is that um, I've been such a huge advocate for all of those types of things when it comes to driving, the diversity and inclusion movement, etc. I can't stress it enough that it deeply hurts me that people are treated differently because the way that the color of their skin is. He was a huge advocate for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And still to this day, we don't have equal rights. Like I don't give a damn what anybody says. It's not on many different levels. But I guess in addition to that, I would say that trying to think of another individual, because I have so many ideas about things and what have you, but people that drive it, that's what I'm struggling to like pinpoint right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to get into your story because I feel like you got a very interesting story to tell here that is definitely going to motivate and inspire people, especially here on our Purple Heart Day episode. First, I dealt with you at Spangdahlem, but I never really got to hear like much of who you were. So, what was it like for young Ryan Hines growing up? Like, what were some of your aspirations growing up? What did your parents do? What was day-to-day life like for you?
Uh, I mean, growing up for me was pretty good overall. I was taken care of. Uh, home life was pretty good for the most part.
Where'd you grow up at?
Tampa, Florida.
Okay.
hmm Growing up down south, um, you deal with a lot of uh, difficult things, especially as a person of color, right? So there was a lot of very ugly things, very bad things when it comes to racism and what have you. But it made me grow to who I am today. And I really grew immensely from all of it at the end of the day. I've been pretty much called every derogatory term that you can come to.
Mm-hmm.
Spat on, thrown to the ground, run off the road into a ditch, you name it, and that was via civilians, law enforcement, um, stuff of that nature. So growing up down south is a beast, especially back then.
How are your parents when when you're young? I can't imagine what you went through. But when you're young and you come home from school and someone has said something about you or someone, like you said, has spat on you or something, do you remember having those conversations with your parents?
Absolutely, and almost every time they flew off the handle about it, right?
Yeah.
But depending on the situation, I always ask them to let me handle it to the best of my ability. But sometimes, the parents do what parents do, and they're in defense mode, and they just get after it at a different angle.
Mm-hmm.
But It got weird sometimes, and people had to answer for what they did, and to include, sadly, even I laugh about it now, but it's definitely not funny. But I've even had uh, teachers' aides that said some reckless things to me, and yeah, they got that action on the back end. But
It's so like disheartening to hear.
yeah, but I said it in one of my outreach. And what verbatim she said, and I'll never forget this. It was like I said, a teacher's aide, but she told me, she was like, she said, "You are never going to be anything, and you are going to end up like the rest of you all." And I said, "The rest of you all?" I was like, "Who are you referring to exactly?" She was like, "All you little black boys." And I was like, "Okay."
How old were you?
Okay. I was 15.
Okay.
Yeah. I was in high school at the time. But yeah, I'll never forget that. She said that to me.
So with all of that, did you have any like, obviously you're on guard, especially with people discriminating against you. How did that impact you when you joined the Air Force?
I mean, it was always guards up,
Yeah.
and the trust was never there. Um, to be honest, it's still not. Um, but even in the senior ranks, I was still being arguably treated badly. But you gotta you gotta especially in positions of leadership, you gotta document and hold other people accountable, just the same as that what we're always taught straight out the gate, right? Hold people accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's what I've been doing now. But before, I just ate it and I took it for years, and I didn't do anything about it. But now that has changed.
Who was the first white person when you joined the military that really had a vested interest in you, that really like took you in and believed in you?
My first supervisor, believe it or not,
Really?
Staff Sergeant Brian Davenport at the time, retired Master Sergeant Brian Davenport. But that dude, he definitely changed my mind about things,
Yeah.
and amazing person, amazing supervisor, and yeah,
How was the beginning of that relationship with him?
he he actually came and picked me up um as soon as I arrived, and chopped it up with me, made sure that I had my dorm room ready to go,
Yeah.
had all the bedding and everything. And then he was just really personable and was always like, not in an intrusive way, but always just like vested in, like,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, what you got going on? How are you doing?" And then to the point that I had a I had a very crazy situation during that time. But long story short, um, somebody had uh messed with my car, and he helped me out with that situation. But somehow this individual, like I said, was able to get to my car and jacked it up a little bit. And he helped me out with that situation. And that's when I furthermore knew. I was like, yeah, he's a real one. Like, because most people would be like, oh, call security forces and, you know, kind of blow you off. But he came and helped me. And yeah.
That's good to hear, especially young in your career. Like you said, you coming in, that wall is probably up higher than it's ever going to be. And then to have that right off the bat. And, you know, diversity, equity, inclusion is something really big in the military right now. We're still not where we need to be, but we're making some strides. You joined what, April 13th, 04? Is that right?
Yep.
It's my
Yes,
birthday,
sir.
April 13th. It's a good day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, really, really good day right there. So you joined. What were some
Yeah.
of the struggles you had as a young airman? Because even like myself, like I think most of us, we hit a point where we kind of get it and we start to kind of take off and we start excelling. But I even look back at my first couple of years, I'm like, man, I messed up with this. I messed up with this.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of those struggles you had early in your career? Because it is an adjustment joining the military.
Yeah, absolutely. I would tell this story, this piece of the story, almost exactly like this, is that it was just what you alluded to. It was a very tough transition because I was a civilian, a reckless civilian in a uniform, and I couldn't turn certain pieces off, mainly the attitude piece.
Mm.
A lot of the time, what I struggled with was people talking to me crazy or whatever, and me not being able to do really too much about it. Um, so that's what I struggled with a lot early on. And early on in my career, I couldn't turn that piece off. So holding myself accountable and putting myself in check was a gigantic struggle for me early on. And while I was still very professional, at the end of the day, I still had my limitations and where I had my breaking points.
Yeah.
And sometimes I had to put aside the professionalism, and I was like, hey, I need to let you know, regardless of rank or whatever, that this is my boundary. And I struggle with that because I know that that wasn't the right thing to do, but at the same time, I
Triggered.
needed to have, definitely triggered, and I had to let them know, like, hey, I get that we're in this business together. I got it. But at the same time, like, you need to know that here's my left and right bounds. Because at the end of the day, we're going to take this uniform off eventually.
It's true.
And I need you to at least respect what I'm saying. And that was something tough for me to navigate and deal with. because I would revert to that immediately versus now I wait, I evaluate, and I'm more methodical with it. But
Yeah.
from at that point in time, I would go 0 to 60, and there was no questions asked. Like if I had something to say, I'm gonna tell you, and probably be pretty aggressive about it. But I needed to let people know, like, hey, I'm a man at the end of the day. Like I know that I'm Airman Hines, blah blah blah. But at the same time, like you, unless I've always said this, and I stand by it still strongly today. If and when I need to get cussed out, yelled at, whatever, got it. I know that there's times that that's appropriate, but during that time, as you well know, because you've been in the game for a while as well, sometimes that was the automatic. Like it's just rip faces off, scream, cuss people out. Like this, I just walked in a minute late, and you that you're that mad.
Stuff that, yeah,
I didn't do anything reckless. Like
100%. Or they don't trust, but they don't trust and verify. They just automatically
right,
write an assumption and snap because of it.
right. So that's something that I've always stand strong on as well, is that there's a time and place for everything. And have I done that type of uh feedback / counseling? Yes, absolutely, 100%. But it's been warranted. And that's the key piece, is that when you do very, very reckless things, then that's warranted, I think. However, it's not a go-to cookie cutter piece of counseling.
Yeah.
You don't do that every time, all the time. You do it when it's necessary.
I think a lot of people get it
And
wrong. A lot of people just think that they got the role as a supervisor, they got the role of a manager, of a leader, and every single time, like you said, you're a minute late, slam the door, throw papers, scream at them.
right,
It's the wrong way to go about it.
right.
Now, if the building's on fire because you did, okay, that deserves the cursing out. But
Right.
the email sitting in the outbox may not necessarily warrant that.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Do you think that ever hindered you in your career, especially early in your career? Kind of that, hey, don't mess with me. You need to understand. You got to be a little respectful. Do you think that ever hurt you as a young airman?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think sometimes I got in my own way. Because I was like, exactly what you just said. Don't mess with me. Like, don't talk to me crazy. But at the same time, trying to navigate being an airman and then young NCO. I didn't make staff until 6 years into the game, but I was already acting like it well before that. But I demanded that respect, and that was one of the things that at that time, what I'm trying to circle back and revive now, is that being a senior airman means something. Like back in the day, like senior airmen were arguably respectable as a staff sergeant.
Yeah, they were the workhorses at the work center.
Yeah, and they, way back, the buck sergeant, right?
Yep.
But they lead those shifts. They lead those shifts. They lead those young airmen, and I've always been a person that empowers senior airmen to be just that.
Such a
And
powerful rank.
yeah, and it really does mean something to me. And like I said, I try to reinfuse that everywhere I go. Like, you are the senior to them.
Yeah,
Uh,
senior airmen so impactful too to, I think, a lot of people, for especially civilians listening to this who have no idea what we're talking about. Senior airmen,
yeah,
they're at this good spot because, or unique spot, because they're still so close to the brand new airmen who have joined the work center, and they're doing the job day in and day out with them, and they got that rapport with them that a staff sergeant or a technical sergeant may not necessarily have, and
mm,
still viewed someone as a peer, but still the staffs and techs are instilling in them leadership. Like, hey, you go out there and lead them on this task, go out there and do this with them. So it's really a unique spot. And like you said, I think they're undervalued a lot because they do bring so much to the
yeah,
team.
yeah, absolutely.
So next thing I want
And
to ask you about, because this is a big part of your journey here. What happened with you at Afghanistan? And like I said, I've known you since Spangdahlem, but I've never actually asked you about this. But it was a triple suicide bombing in Afghanistan. You experienced some injuries from that. If you don't mind taking us back to what exactly happened that day, or like, what do you remember from it?
so I was assigned to a JET, which is a Joint Expeditionary Tasking. And what that entails is different branches of services syncing together. So I was assigned to a infantry unit, um, several of them, but uh, when we went through the initial training, and I went through gunnery tables, the lead in the infantry unit pulled me aside one day, and was like, "Hey, Sergeant, been killing it with the gunnery tables. I know that you were assigned to do this, but now you're gonna do this." And I was like, "Okay, roger that." I was like, "What is this?" And he was like, "Well, you're gonna be the personal security detail gunner for the commander." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Can you elaborate a little bit?" And it's like, basically, wherever he goes, you go. I was like, "Roger that, got it." And that's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
So I was basically the beckoning call. And anytime that he moved around to do anything, whether it comes to projects, meetings with uh leadership, whatever, anywhere he goes, I was going. So one of the operations, we were escorting the lead medic to one of the other medical facilities, and upon returning to my my fob, the forward operating base, uh, we were engaged by the enemy. So it was a flatbed truck with approximately 500 pounds of HME, which is homemade explosives. And they pulled up on me and they detonated. So I was immediately taken out at that point in time. And During that time, 2 other members strapped with 50 pounds of HME suicide vest detonated as well in the immediate area. In addition to that, was enduring a hellfire of small arms fire, RPGs, which is rocket propelled grenades,
Yep.
and AK fire, etc. But eventually I came to, and from the blast, I was deafened for a while, but still went back into action. But with a wild feeling, not being able to hear anything.
Was it just like a ringing in your head after you had woken up, or was it just dead silence?
Legit could not hear anything.
Wow. And what do you remember about the aftermath of it?
Running and gunning. Like I was just going, you snap back to it and you just revert back to
Fight or flight.
yeah, exactly. And that's what I did. So yeah, after that, did the things and was recovered by the medical personnel after, and then you got to do what you got to do with that, and fast forward, convince them that I was still, able. Got after it again, and we go on this convoy to Cop Mizan. Cop is combat outpost. So it's out of the way of the region that I was in. It's probably about 3-hour convoy-ish. But very shortly after getting into it, we rolled into a heavy dust storm. So I'm gunning, sticking out of the turret, and my operators can't see. So I became not only the gunner, but also the driver. Very little room for error because we driving through the mountains and where have you in. For those who are unfamiliar with this type of terrain, very little room for error. So I'm sticking out the top of the turret, and I'm literally telling him, guide right, guide left, guide left, guide right. Telling him where to steer so we don't go off the side of the mountain.
Jeez.
But yeah, that's my perspective was the best to be able to see to drive through it. But that's what I did. as I was still scanning the mountains and what have you, doing the gunning. But we ended up getting there okay. And then we got there. My immediate thought was like, why are we here? And this is not a good situation to be perched in, because it's that the cop is seated so low and surrounded by high mountains. I was like, yeah, this is not good.
Especially after what you just went through, yeah.
Right. So then we roll into that, and then we set up our MRAPs, and for those that don't know, mine-resistant ambush protected vehicles. We set them up in a U formation in the helo zone. The helo zone is a helicopter zone, landing zone. To set up camp for the night, because we were gonna spend the night though. So after doing that, downgraded gear, and we're gonna go grab chow. As we're breaking through and talking, because my troops have been there before. This is my first go at it. I've never been there before, but they were talking to me about it and explaining to me how things go there and what have you. And as we're breaking through the horseshoe that we built with the MRAPs, two rockets zipped by our heads, and I immediately horse collared both of them, grabbing them by their shirts, and yanked them back into that little horseshoe, and immediately started, doing what I do, yelling and telling them, "Hey, get your gear back on, etc. Got to get back into it." So fight proceeded, and luckily, even though some people had moments, my one of my people, he froze up for a moment, and I get it, especially being a father, husband, I get it. But grabbed him, snatched him up. I was like, "Hey, I got you. You're safe. Let's get after it." And then he just snapped to, got back in the fight. But we all got through it. And then thereafter, we were talking about it. It was a good thing for everybody involved. But it was wild time, wild thing, especially that travel to the place, to the cop. But thereafter was even crazier. It was like, I don't know that it should have been done any other way, because I feel like that was my time, my place to be there for people, because people were definitely about to check out and quit multiple times. So I'm glad that I was able to be a part of that.
Yeah, especially grabbing him and having that moment with him, telling him, you got him, and being able to see him snap out of it. Because imagine if you wouldn't have been there, you wouldn't have said that. So yeah, man, I can't. Utmost respect for you. Can't even imagine putting myself in that situation. And treated for traumatic brain injury, post-traumatic stress. For you, what do you remember about the treatment afterwards, being told those two things?
Straight out the gate, it was forced. So I hated it. Coming back, I was treated like I was broken. So all of that was very forced, and I really, really hated all of it. Like, they were like, you need to go do this, you need to go do that, you need to talk to this person, etc. It wasn't until recently that I was able to, and I say recently, within the past few years, that I was able to be like, okay, let's get after this. The key piece for me was to get somebody that resonated and has been through similar things. This guy is a vet as well. He's been in combat, etc. In addition to that, have served, and ironically, I say ironically, in the Army, and that's who I was serving with at the time, right?
Yeah,
that's a beautiful thing, in my opinion. But all considering, without those things, without those puzzle pieces in place, I didn't have any respect for the people that were trying to get me through this treatment. I couldn't wrap my mind around it. I couldn't accept it, or I couldn't get to that point where I needed to be. Because I'm like, how are you going to tell me how to be when you haven't been through the same thing?
Yeah, you need someone that could relate.
Right. So I really struggled with that early on. And I was like,
Go ahead.
I was like, I can't do anything other than respect you as a doctor. Like, I got it. Like, you got your fancy degrees, what have you, but at the end of the day, like, I can't respect the other stuff because you haven't been through it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what that's like. And I struggled for a long, long time because of that. Um, until like I just said, like, until recently in the past few years when I found who I found, um couldn't deal. I was just managing, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah. Did you have any sort of physical scars from? I'm assuming you have some from your accident.
Mm, absolutely.
What when you see those scars, does it represent? I'm sure there was a point where you looked at them, you would get angry or probably fired up. Have you started to kind of look at those as like these are reminders I can help other people, just like that person helped you?
Yes, but I've also tattooed over some of them.
Okay.
But yes, um, I try to use that um as tools to talk to other people and help them. Absolutely.
Yeah. And have you encountered somebody in the past couple of years that you've been that person for them? You've been able to help them get through something where they may have had a similar mindset where, hey, this doctor doesn't understand exactly where I'm coming from.
Absolutely. Uh, and as I've recently become a Mission 22 ambassador and Wounded Warrior ambassador, um, I've I've definitely done that, and to the point and the strength of um, people have told me, "Hey, you saved me." I was thinking about dark things and going in a very bad direction. But after hearing you speak your story went a different direction.
Wow. How you feel when you hear people tell you that?
I'm just glad that I'm able to to help people at this point. Um,
Yeah.
I, it's been a long road for me, long dark road, and it's surreal, but at the same time, it's like um, I'm happy that I'm here and that uh, uh, inevitably um, able to help people. Like that's huge to me. Like for somebody to be inspired or whatever, um, and to not take their life.
It's power.
Yeah, yeah,
Something you
it's
said
huge.
resonated with that person to save them. That's crazy. I think that
Mhm.
our words have that much strength.
Yeah.
You you mentioned it's been a long dark road. What has been like the constant light on your journey throughout your time in the Air Force? What's been that one glimmer of hope the whole way through?
One glimmer of hope is people.
Yeah.
Um, I've always said this and used it very dark ways, but um, at the end of the day, like what really matters to me is the people. Like I really don't care too much about me. I do, but I really care most about people. Um, and that's what has driven me, and even up until today, um, people tell me, "Hey, not if you weren't tracking or not, but you have helped me get to this point," and that still happens to this day. And I think it's amazing, and it's very humbling to me. But people are definitely what drives me to keep going. And one of my tools asked me about that not too long ago. It was about a month ago. Um, pretty much is the exact same question that you would just ask me.
Mm-hmm.
But I just came up on 19 years of service, and he was like, "What's next for you? Why do you keep going? What drives you?" That's exactly what it is. It's people. Like
Yeah.
I could have checked out easily, but taking care of my people and making things better for all encompassing is important to me.
Yeah, you mentioned something right there that you were talking about how you could have checked out, and you could have, after what transpired in Afghanistan, you had every right to check out of the military and been justified for doing so. But even when uh, y'all were under attack at that cop, and you were able to help pull that person uh, by the collar and be like, "Hey, you got to snap out of it. I got you. You're gonna be good." It's like even in the darkest moments, you were still looking out for others and trying to help others when you could have been sitting on the sidelines and been justified. So it's good to hear that like your whole way through, it's been other people, because people outside of the military perhaps won't get this. Like you work at, Apple or somewhere, you probably more than likely don't have that camaraderie like we have within the military, and those relationships like you're going to have with people within the military. I mean, because like you said, y'all been to battle together. That's what keeps you in. So that's really good stuff to hear. And question I have for you, getting inducted into the Purple Heart Hall of Honor, what did that mean to you? Because super cool, and congrats on that, by the way.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's surreal. Um, I had no idea that it it even existed. So when I got the call, uh, I almost thought that somebody was pranking me.
Yeah.
And but I heard him out, and it was an older gentleman, and he called me by my name and rank, and everything was very, very professional and respectful, and that's how I knew quickly that it was real. And then yeah, we fast forwarded to verifying things, and I was like, okay, I guess this is real. But it's still, to be honest, right now, it's still surreal to me, and I'm just humbled um, to be a part of it. Um, that's a very big thing to be a part of, and man, to be a part of a museum, and then yeah, uh, be held to that that position. Um, it's truly an honor, and yeah, I'm beside myself, to say the
Yeah.
least.
Yeah. It's probably super surreal. Uh, final. Well, I got two last questions for you. First, Wounded Warrior Ambassador. Talk about how much that means for you.
Being a Wounded Warrior Ambassador, to me, it was one of my true callings and saving graces. And I talk about this in my testimonies, but to be more specific, it's brought me my purpose back again.
Hmm.
I struggled with that so much when I came back from Afghanistan, is that I didn't feel like I had a purpose anymore.
Yeah.
I went from doing all this crazy combat things, and then they stuck me in doing things behind the desk, and it just drove me crazy. But um, now being able to have these new opportunities to be Force One Warrior Ambassador, Mission 22 Ambassador, uh, it's giving me that purpose again. Um, Honor Guard gave me that first again. So when I first came back, when I was struggling and I was going through all those things, I was afforded the chance to join the Honor Guard. And
That's Spangdahlem, right?
no, I was part of the program way before that. But
You were
I can't.
NCOIC at Spang, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it was years before that. Um, so I started doing it when I came back to Nellis, and I was the NCOIC there as well. And I've been the program manager and superintendent years after. So I've been doing it for like past 6, 7 years. Yeah, 7 years.
Yeah.
But also, that's my secondary AFSC as of now as well.
Hmm.
So take it very seriously, and I love it. And it was definitely a big piece of keeping me sane and giving me my sense of purpose. But that additional duty first sergeant, um, all of the above, it's been great to give me that sense of purpose, because I definitely struggle with that a lot. And all of those things, they gave me that sense of purpose, and got through it.
Well, all in all, at the end of the day, when people mention your name 50 years from now, what do you want people to say about you?
For them to be able to say that that was somebody that gave their all for themselves, for the people, and really drove change. It comes to our legacies, what have you. Um, that's what I would like for people to say about me, is they went and gave all to drive that change. And I would love for a piece of it to actually be factual change that happened due to me. But I think that's the thing that I got. But truly think that at the end of the day, um, when it comes to legacies, we you have to put our best foot forward to driving something, whether we're there to experience and seeing it through, or thereafter. Um, I think that there's, to me, the most important part is the diversity and inclusion piece that I want to see through. And I want to see that people are truly, at the end of the day, treated equally in this military.
Well, I personally want to thank you for taking time to do this. I know there was a hiccup on my end with the time zone and everything. I appreciate you, appreciate all that you do. Utmost respect for you. And once again, congrats on everything. You're doing some amazing stuff. And you're getting close to that retirement. Then you can go to Bali, relax. What final comments you got?
I appreciate you as well. I know it's difficult when it comes to doing things like this and time zone differences and what have you. So I appreciate your time and your flexibility as well. And yeah, hopefully Bali is in the near future. But the retirement, I'm not so sure about. I don't know if it's gonna be near or far. Everybody still thinks I'm gonna be a 30-year type dude. Well,
Well, you'll
we'll
still be
see.
in before me then.
We'll see. We'll see.
Well, like I said, I appreciate you doing this. Folks, we hope you enjoyed this episode. If you enjoy everything that we're doing here, as always, head over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review. Let us know what you think. Same with theshadowspodcast.com. We'll be back for another episode next week here on The Shadows Podcast.